Tracking velocity of return, or for an acronym, VOR. Let's dive in. I'm your instructor, Manisha Mistry. I work at measurementmarketing.io. As an instructor, I work with the dedicated measurement marketing clients. My goal when working with them is helping them harness the power of their marketing data, helping them get to actionable dashboards so that they can take action on their data. I am passionate about sharing my knowledge, so Academy members who are listening, you definitely find me there back in Ask Instructor. And I'm proficient in Looker Studio, BigQuery, and Analytics Canvas. Alrighty, I mentioned Academy members. So what are Academy members? So our flagship product is a Measurement Marketing Academy. In the Measurement Marketing Academy, you got access to win courses, workshops, and Get It Done guides. And Academy members, stay tuned. I'm actually going to mention to you a Get It Done guide that is up and coming, tied to velocity of return. Okay. So in the Academy, you also have access to Ask an Instructor. What is Ask an Instructor? Ask an Instructor gives you the ability to send us videos. So I'm talking me, Mercer, Julie. You get to send us videos. And guess what? We can send you videos back. It is literally like having us sitting there with you. Okay? So one thing. Now, before we dive in, I want to talk about one thing. What does this mean? It means as you watch these next 20, 30 minutes, I want you to think about one thing. I want you to grab one thing. I don't want you to try to get everything and go implement everything and, no. Pick one thing, implement it, move forward with it, and then pick another one thing. I have learned this the hard way, but when you pick one thing, you implement it, and then you pick another one thing and implement it, without even knowing it, you're at 10 one things. Alrighty, we're going to start now to tracking VOR, velocity of return. Let's start. So, before we dive in, let's talk about our measurement marketing framework. It helps you go from marketing in the blind to marketing where you can reliably grow revenue and profit. There are 3 key steps: plan, build, and launch. In plan, it's all about knowing the questions you're going to ask, the information you need to answer those questions, and the actions you're going to take when you have those answers. That is super important because you need to be able to take action, right? Build is about taking your results, your traffic, and having it tell you a story. And then finally, launch is about listening to that story. What is that story telling us, right? But then forecasting what we think that story is going to tell us tomorrow or next week or next month, depending on how far you can forecast, and then optimizing that story. Learn more about this at measurementmarketing.io. Alrighty, let's dive in. Alrighty, we're going to hop right into Lucidchart, and then we're going to go through some demo dashboards and a sheet and talk. Academy members, listen up because I'm going to talk about a Get It Done guide that is up and coming for you to implement velocity of return. Alrighty, so you've all heard the metrics or the terms ROI, ROA, and LTV, right? ROI is return on investment. If you go to any of the, talks or, the conferences, they're always talking about ROI. What's your ROI? What's your return on investment, right? Or, hey, what's your return on ad spend? If you were like me in the past, or you still are, Facebook advertiser. That is definitely a metric Facebook advertisers throw around a lot. I was definitely in that space for a while. And then lifetime value. We, as measurement marketers, definitely believe that LTV is the easiest metric to misuse. And this is not something we've coined, but it's something Mercer heard at one of the recent talks he was at, where somebody said LTV is it's like growing broke. And, we wish he came up with that phrase, but it's definitely true. And let's kind of scroll down and talk about this. Okay, so let's talk about LTV a little and why we're not total fans of it, okay? So somebody says to you their LTV is $100. Then you could say, guess what? You can pay $50 and then you get a customer for $100. Here's the question we should be asking at that point. We should be asking, well, how long did it take you to get that $100? So, hey, you spend $50 today and you get the $100 tomorrow. That's great. But let's say you spend those $50 and take you 5 years. That's a different, equation, right? The other thing with LTV is you can have peaks and valleys, right? So there's seasonality to LTV. And I've definitely seen this where there was a client I worked with a long time ago where, they had a very standard kind of like LTV. But then in July, she had this wellness retreat, which she hosted like pretty far away. And it was really expensive. It was like 30 or 40 grand, right? To go on this retreat and then attend it. It was definitely something like, you would have to know and like and trust her and then you'd convert, right? But because of that conversion in July, when you looked at her LTV, like I'm just making up numbers here, but it's like it was skyrocketing, right? It was this amazingly high number. So there's seasonality with LTV. It's almost like it kind of goes through leaps and waves, right? So in your head, you must be wondering, well, it's not LTV, and we're not saying not use LTV, it's still a metric, but what other options are there? Okay. So there is something called velocity of return. Now, what is velocity of return? It's kind of a little diagram here to kind of explain. I'm just going to kind of move this up a little. Okay. So velocity of return is about how fast you make your money back. Okay. So let's have a little quick example here, kind of draw it out here. Okay. Let's say you spend $10. Okay. And you know that you spend $10 to acquire the customer and you make $100. Here's the thing. Right now I'm showing you that what velocity return is showing, and this is what velocity return is basically saying that every 5 days you spend $10, you acquire and you get a customer lifetime value of $100. That means your VOR is 5 days. What it's saying is if you spend $10, you will make your money back. See this question right here. I'm going to actually make this bold. Let me just make this bold because I want to make sure nobody misses this. Okay, I'm going to make this bold. I'm going to make this green color, and I want to make sure it's a little bit bigger. Let's just pump this puppy up. There we go. Okay, and okay, so just going to move this over like this. So I can say if I spend $10 in 5 days, I will make my money back. Okay, now the key is this here, how fast this happened. Say if I told you it's not 5 days. Say if I told you it's 5 years, right? That's a very different equation for a business, right? Because that's saying, well, you spend this $10 today and you got to wait 5 years to make these hundreds, right? So you really got to think about that. Versus if I said 5 days, you can be like, hey, yeah, I could, toss $10 in the pot, in the Facebook world, the Google world, if you put $10 into the little slot machine of Facebook and be like, okay, in 5 days, I'm going to get this, right? Which is great because then you can say, okay, I spent $10, I got, I made $100, great, in 5 days, basically, then therefore I made $90, B minus is what I spent, right? That's great. That's velocity of return. It's the how fast. If I spend X, how many days until I get it back? How much time until I get it back? That's velocity of return. Now, velocity of return doesn't stop at the initial 5 days or whatever, 7 days, whatever this number is. It can go on. So maybe in 5 days you make 100, but then the minute they finish this course, we've all been through courses where you finish, level 1 and then level 2s. They're like, hey, why don't you do level 2? And you convert level 2. Let's say that's $500, right? Well, I was thinking, well, that's like $400, right? And then total on 10 days is $500, right? So this is also showing the velocity return at 5 days, but what's your velocity return at 10 days? So it can be kind of like growth. Well, here's your VOR at 5 days. Here's your VOR at 10 days, which is awesome because many of us have those funnels. Like I'm actually kind of move up here and kind of do this. But many of us have those funnels where like, you start with like product 1, need to spell, product number 1, which, may be like that, the low ball offer, right? And then they get in, they do the thing, right? And then they go to product 2. Just going to draw this out here, And then maybe there's, this is like sometimes the mid ball offer. And then, sometimes there's that like, I like to call it the flagship product, right? You kind of go to like the, the final product, right? And many of us, either for ourselves or for our clients, we are looking at funnels like this where, it's a, get them in the door and then you had to move them up the scale. And this is where velocity of return is huge because, hey, did you make your money back, on day 5 or day 10 or was it further than that, right? And that's important. It's important from a marketing perspective. So as a measurement marketer, your goal is to implement this. As a marketing team works with it, they'll be able to see, well, okay, we acquire, we spend this much to acquire this customer, and 5 days in, this is how much, 10 days in, this is the value. So they'll be able to look at the data and the dashboard and be like, okay, yep, we are making our money back. We are definitely, it's taking us X number of days to make it back. So as a measurement marketer, you are developing this report mainly for your marketing team. Now, the key to also understand is there's no one VOR. Like, sometimes people are like, your lifetime value has to be this number or that number. There is no one VOR, right? Every funnel is different. Like I just described one of the millions of funnels. Like I described this one with low ball, mid-tier, and final, right? But there's millions of funnels. Some people will also have like, a lead on here. I've seen that. Maybe it's a lead and then a low ball offer and then a, and then some people are, they're also like, just like, lead to a, drawing this out. Another funnel is like lead to like the final sale, right? Final product, right? We've seen them all. But so there's not this number that we can say to you and say, this is what your velocity of return should be. Your velocity of return, when you deliver this as a measurement marketer to your marketing team, your velocity of return we'll tell the marketing team, we're going to show the marketing team, here's what, here's the VOR on these different days. And your marketing team will look at it and then be like, okay, yeah, we spent this amount of money and we made it back in this amount of time. And then they can say days or weeks, right? And you want it to be days or weeks, definitely don't want to get into the years thing, right? But maybe maybe your business can handle it. Okay, now, as a measurement marketer, how do you implement velocity return? That's definitely a question you have. And Academy members that are here, I am going to give you a tip, a great tip. It is up and coming, so please, please, please stay tuned. Okay, so let's talk about what you need to implement velocity return. Okay, so you need two pieces, and then the third piece sitting down here, I'm going to talk about it in a minute. So we're going to kind of like put this off to the side and talk about these two. Okay, so what you mainly need for velocity return is revenue and time. You need it per customer. You want it per customer, so you'll be able to see then, and the data will roll up to an overall level, but you definitely need to, at a transaction level, be able to look and be like, this transaction gave us this much revenue, right? And therefore, and it took this much time for the customer to convert, right? And then that rolls up, and I'm going to walk you through a couple of tools we have that are going to make that easier for Academy members, okay? But this is what you need, okay, as a measurement marketer. Now, what's this? What's this thing sitting down here that is kind of hiding, right? Ad spend. So your marketing team is definitely going to need, when they're looking at your velocity return dashboard and looking at it and answering the question, how fast or how many days until I make my money back? So if I spend X, that's how many days. When they're answering a question, they need to know ad spend, right? So that's the marketing team's job. But these are the kind of things we want to lay out. Okay. Now, you must be asking, and you must be wondering, well, how do you build the thing? And if you're an Academy member, you're like, what is she talking about? What is she talking about that's coming out soon? Okay, so I'm going to show you first our velocity return. This is our velocity return report, our measuremarketing.io velocity return. I'm going to scroll up here, okay? Now, what does this tell me? This tells me in the 2023 year, we acquired 90 customers. Of those 90 customers we acquired, in that segment of customers that came in 2023, that were, came into our world 2020, they were worth this amount on day zero, and then this is their, what they're worth through the year, right? So 7, 14, 30, right? My marketing team can look at this, right? And they can kind of be like, okay, well, we spent this much to get the customer in, and maybe we didn't make the money back on day zero. Maybe we made it back on day 30, or maybe, it was day 60. I'm not, I don't know the numbers off my head of the ad spend, but that's how the marketing team's using this. But then they may ask more detailed questions that, okay, great, this is over a year, but I want to look at months. So then you're looking basically at a month cohort here. So this is January. We got 6 customers. February, we also got 6. March, we got 3, 9. And then, there's this bump here, right? 15. So, the marketing team might be asking, well, maybe they were pushing a bunch of ads. Like I can't remember, but maybe in June they were pushing a bunch of ads, right? And when they were pushing those ads, maybe they were spending a ton. And then, you look at day zero, it's at 686. The question the marketing team needs to answer is, well, when in here, if we spent a bunch of ad money, when in here did we, make our money back? When did we make our ad spend back, our spend back, right? And the marketing team would use this. Now, how is this created? Okay. Going to give you kind of the nuts and bolts of it really quickly, and then Academy members, I'm going to walk you through really quickly the tool, but do know that we're going to have a whole Get It Done guide for you in the Academy very shortly, okay? So, coming into our demo sheet. Okay, so what do you need? You need CRM data. So why are we calling it CRM data? If you don't have a CRM, you really just need your customer data. What you need, and I've hit on all our data so you can't see it, but you really need customer create date and customer email. Those are two things you need. We have contact ID here, and that's because our CRM and our point of sale system, our order system, is Infusionsoft. So it's the same. So we use contact ID, but for, intended purposes, you really just need create date and customer email, because you need to be able to say this customer came in on this day and here's the identifier for the customer, which 9 times out of 10 is email, right? For a lot of us, because we may be using something for our CRM, like a HubSpot or something like that, right? And then using something like Stripe for our transactions, okay? So that's what you first need. And like I said, there's a bunch of data in here, but can't show you that for PII reasons, okay? Next, what you need is what we call point of sale data, transactional data, okay? What do you have in here? So you have order date, you have a customer email and total paid. So what you want to basically do is kind of have, for each day the customer placed any amount of orders. Doesn't matter if place 1, 2, 3, 4. You really want to get to the point where you have a row here for basically every day a customer placed an order, and you want their email and you want the amount they pay. If they did place 2 orders in a day, you kind of want to roll those into one and just kind of say like, that's the day and the total paid, okay? Again, contact ID is in here for us because of Infusionsoft being both our CRM and our order system, but you may not need that, okay? So once you have these two pieces of information, there's this magic spreadsheet called our data spreadsheet, okay? And going to hop in there. And I'm not going to show you the photos before because, again, personal identifiable information. But basically what this sheet does is it looks at the create date and the purchase date. And it says what's the days in between the create date and purchase date. And it does a little calculation right there, okay? And then it calculates this based on that. So it looks at this, and then there's a large statement here. I'm not going to walk through the guts of this, but kind of going through and giving it a, how many days? Is it day 0? Is it day 365 plus? Is it day 120? And then it does this. And basically what it does is it sums the total, of the customer. The customer has basically spent with us on day 0, day 7, day 14, day 30, day 60, day 90, day 120, right? And then what you do is you use this as the guts to build this Looker Studio report. And what this basically does is it, gets the average values for these days and shows them here and shows you the total number of customers by counting unique emails. And that's basically it. It's all kind of done. The sheet magic happened. There's a lot of formulas in here. I'm not going to walk you through the guts of that. But like I said, in a few minutes, I'm going to show you Academy members the guide the Get It Done guide we're going to have for you. And then you guys can basically easily do this. Okay. Once you have this, your marketing team will look at this and answer the question, if I spend, XXX, how many days until I make it back? And especially for those months, I'm looking at June thinking, were we running some ads? Maybe we're doing some outreach? Maybe we did some affiliate outreach and what was it, right? And how quickly did we make that money back that we spent to get those 15 customers in that cohort? Okay. Academy members, I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek at a Get It Done guide that we at the measurement team at measuremarketing.io have been super busy working on. Julie and I are ecstatic to get this out to you, just to let you know. So both of us were jumping up and down. Okay, so again, what you're going to get is this spreadsheet, guys. This is a template that's going to coming out soon in the Academy. So, something to look forward to. Academy members, if you're not an Academy member, you might want to join to get access to this. But basically what's going to happen is you're going to go to your CRM. Let it be whatever, like I said, it could be HubSpot, Active Campaign, whatever it is, go to it and say basically, give me create date and customer email. And you get that nice, data set, you dump it in here, okay? Once you have that, like I said, you may not need contact ID. This was more of just something we wanted to put in there in case you need it, okay? Then what you need is your point of sale system. So I'm just going to say some examples like Stripe, right? Samcar, Checkout Champ, any of those systems out there that you use. You want to go to it and say, well, can you give me order date, customer email, and total paid, right? So you kind of get all that data, right? And this isn't made of customer. This is Manisha. This is not my email, so don't try to email me at manisha@abc.com. But you want to make sure between these two tables that you can join the customers on something, and that's usually email, right? Okay. So once you have that data in there, the data tab, the magic tab is what I called, and these are the the rows you didn't see before. But basically, this will populate. Once you have these two populate, this will automatically kind of feed itself, okay? And then it'll start calculating the value of Manisha, as you can see right here, over time, from day 0 all the way through, okay? And then what you're also going to get access to is this template. And you're going to have to make copies of all this. Academy members do know the whole guide. But then automatically, this gets populated. This does the and says, well, as you can see, one customer and her value over time was $1. Not the best value over time, right? Definitely needed to, up that a little bit, maybe $10 or at least $15. But it's a tool that you can use to answer the question, if I spend XXX, how many days until I make it back? And we wanted to get this tool out to our Academy members and, to the not Academy members. We wanted to show you guys how we built this because it's definitely valuable, especially for your marketing team, especially the ones that are running ads. Because I myself, and I know many of us, we all run ads, right? Yeah, I'm even, eyeing August here. August was another high month, right? And look at this, right? Eyeing these months, these months that we were running, maybe we were running traffic these months, right? Your marketing team needs to know how quickly they're going to get it back so they can then reinvest it potentially, right? So there you have it. That is velocity of return, how you can build it. And Academy members, that is a quick sneak peek at a Get It Done guide. So if you're not part of the Academy, highly recommend you look into it to get this Get It Done guide. And if you are part of the Academy, stay tuned because this is coming out. Alrighty, what was your one thing? What's your one thing that VOR is a concept and different than LTV and how it can help your marketing team answer the question, if I spend XXX, how many days until I make it back? Was it that? Or was that, hey, you're an Academy member and you cannot wait for the Get It Done guide? Hey, whatever your one thing is, keep it in mind, share it in the comments. We'd love to hear it. Now, if you haven't, hit subscribe because we have lots of good workshops coming. We have lots of good content coming. Julie and I are super excited to release it over the next few weeks. So highly recommend you hit subscribe and stay tuned. Now, mentioned the measurement marketing framework, kind of walked you through it a few earlier. If you want to get access to a free course on the framework and a lot of other free Academy tools, I'm going to give you a tip. So you can join the Measurement Marketing Academy by going to measure.tips/getacademy. On there, you have the choice to join the Academy or join our Toolbox, which is our free membership. If you are part of the Academy and you have questions on this, you can always reach us and ask instructor support. Myself, Julie, Mercer are all back there, and we cannot wait to hear from you. If you're not an Academy member, hey, think about joining. We'd love to have you. So there you have it. That is tracking VOR, velocity of return.